Who are you? This is such a basic question, but so many people cannot answer it. This is my first video in my Authentic Self series, and I'm going to give you 4 different bodies of knowledge / tools to help you discover you. Okay, so a disclaimer first. I'm one of those girls. So what I mean by that, these tools are going to be of the esoteric, occult nature. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a bonus, some practical ways to start utilizing these tools today. So number 1 is astrology. I feel like astrology is everywhere nowadays. Now, disclaimer, I'm not an astrologist. I'm not an astrologer. I don't know, astrologist. I'm not that. However, I started to get into astrology a few years ago, and now I feel like I see it everywhere. It's like when you buy a new car, and before you owned that car, you saw no one with a Audi, whatever, Q8, AQ, whatever. You see no one with the car. And all of a sudden, everywhere you go, you see these Audis, because now you have this car. However, that being said, you should get into them, because this is a really good tool of self-discovery. What is astrology? It's the study of the planets, celestial bodies, stars, etc., and their effect upon human and human affairs, and basically everything here on Earth. The key thing to remember about astrology, it's really not those newspaper horoscopes you read, or just the sun sign stereotypes that we all tend to know. It's much more layered, it's much more complex than that, it's much more involved. And for you on your journey of self-discovery, the important thing is getting a birth chart. So what a birth chart is, it's a mapping of the sky, basically, a snapshot, a picture. Think of a camera phone, you take a picture at the exact moment you were born. It shows where the planets were in the sky and the stars. Now, the reason why this is important is because the birth chart shows basically how the planets affect your gifts, your strengths, your weaknesses, the way you communicate, the way that other people perceive you, the way you perceive yourself, your emotions, the way you take action. It really gives a detailed report of you as a person, right? So outside of just that sun sign you have other signs within your chart that gives you information about who you are as a person. And I know there are a lot of non-believers, or I don't even want to say believers because it's not something to believe in. It exists. Either air exists, you don't believe in air or don't believe in. But there are not a lot of people that give credence to astrology, right? They think it's baloney. And what I find though is that most of them know zero about it. They say like it's stupid, it's fake, or whatever the case may be, and they have no idea what any of it means. So I challenge you, if you want to take this journey of discovering who you are as a person, use your birth chart as your first tool. It'll give you plenty of information about you. Number 2. So this method, this tool, this system, it's a baby. It's like an infant compared to astrology. Astrology has been around for thousands of years, right? I think this has been around since the 80s. However, I've learned a lot about it recently, and I find it very useful as well as a tool of self-discovery. And it is human design. So, in a nutshell, human design, it's like a mix between astrology, I Ching, Kabbalism. It's a mix of all these ancient practices, and basically it gives you a roadmap of who you are as a person and the best way for you to operate based upon how you're designed. One thing that I love about human design, there are 4 different types of people. People are categorized in 4 different types, and one has a subcategory. I actually fall in that subcategory. But those types, they all have a strategy and authority. And these are basically the way someone should go about decision making. Extremely helpful tool, and I like it because it gives you that foundation of how you should best make decisions for your life to have the most optimal results. And the optimal results don't mean like you won't go through anything in life, you won't have any hardships, etc. It's just that you're gonna be on the right path for you if you follow your strategy and authority. For example, in human design, I am considered a manifesting generator. And as a manifesting generator, I basically have to tap into, and I'm a pure one, right? So I tap into my sacral authority, and it's almost like a gut feeling. It's when I'm presented with a question or a decision to make in my life, my gut is going to be like, yep, that's for me, or it's not for me. I find it very true to me. When you go through like the mind Olympics of just trying to like, is this decision good? Is it not? And go through all these like different logical steps or emotional reasons of why you should or shouldn't do something, you're often gonna pick something that just wasn't right for you. Or at the end, at least me, I feel like it wasn't right for me. But when I go with that, like that gut response to something, and as a manifesting generator, I respond to things that are presented to me, it's on point. And that brings me to strategy number 3. This one is the Myer-Briggs personality test. I'll say this is the least esoteric or occult-like spiritual methods of the 4 that I'm bringing today, but I find it to be very helpful as well. Here, I know just enough about it to be dangerous, which means I don't know nothing about it at all, but very little. However, I'm going to present it to you all because someone might find this method much more helpful, or it may resonate to them more than the other occult methods that I mentioned. So basically, the Myer-Briggs personality test, I want you to think about it in the way that we think about, I have type A personality, or I have type B personality. It kind of stems from that, right? It's basically a self-driven assessment that you take. And based upon this assessment, how you kind of respond to different situations, you're categorized into a personality type. And it expands further than just a type A or type B personality type. There will be 4 different letters in your type. And the first one is either going to be an I or an E. So I stands for introverted, E extroverted. I think those are very self-explanatory, so I'm not going to get into too deep of what those mean. However, it's how you interact with the outside world. You're either going to be introverted or extroverted. The next letter is going to either be an S or an N, and S stands for sensing and N stands for intuitive. And this basically is how you gather information about your outside world. The third letter in your type is going to either be a T or an F. T stands for thinking, F stands for feeling. Basically, this is how you make decisions. Are you more of a logical decision maker, or do you make decisions based upon how you feel about things? Finally, the last letter in your personality type, it's either going to be a J or a P, and J stands for judging, P stands for perceiving. This is really how you deal with the outside world. Do you judge more, or do you perceive more? For me, personally, I am a ENTP, extroverted, intuitive, thinking, perceiving. There are 16 different personality types, so you expand further beyond the type A or type B. One thing that I really like about the Myer-Briggs personality test is based upon everything I read about what an ENTP means. It really does round out my astrology chart and my body graph in human design. Like, for example, in astrology, I have a lot of Gemini placements, and in my 7th house, I am not a Gemini. I don't walk around saying I'm a Gemini. That's not what people would know me as. I have a lot of those placements, and ENTPs, for whatever reason, they kind of remind me of like Gemini placements. And we are at lucky number 4. I don't know if 4 is lucky, but I said it, so it is. This is numerology. So numerology is a ancient mystical arts that basically runs under the principle that numbers have energy and therefore meaning within our lives. There's tons of different ways in which you can use numerology and kind of study the energy of each number and the meaning that it may mean for you in your life. However, as a understanding of who you are as a person, one tool that I find very helpful is finding your life path number. So basically, your life path number is when you take all of the digits of your birthday and you reduce them to one single digit, or it can be 2 digits when it's a repeating digit. So 11, 22, 33, etc. And this number that you receive, it has a energy of an overall theme to your life that you're going to be dealing with throughout your life. That's why it's called a life path. Kind of knowing the things that come into your life is going to help you discover who you are as a person as well. Example, I happen to be a life path 2. One of the things that I've learned about life path 2 is that we consistently deal with relationships. 2, right? You got 1 plus 1. For me, in my life path, relationships will be very important. And it does not have to mean strictly romantic type of relationships, just relating to other people is going to be very important in my life. One very cool thing I find about all of these methodologies that I've mentioned to you, all these tools, all these resources of discovering who you are as a person, there's a consistent theme that you'll notice amongst them when it comes to you, right? So I just told you I'm a life path 2. Earlier, I mentioned when talking about the Myer-Briggs personality test, how I have a lot of planets in my 7th house in astrology. Right now, I know I'm like big concepts right here, but just very simple. 7th house is the house of relationships. That means I have a lot of emphasis in my life on relationships. I'm a life path 2. And that means that relationships are very important for my life. It's something for me to either struggle with, overcome, to master, etc. Since you stuck around to the very end, I want to give you some bonus resources, tools to start this journey of self-discovery. First, for astrology, astro.com. Go to this website and I'll link it in the video and I'll include it on the screen somewhere. Go to this website and have your accurate birth time. That's really important. If you don't have it, you can use noon, but the birth chart isn't going to be as accurate as it should be. Enter this in and you can get a birth chart and you can get the very first snapshot of who you are. There are YouTubers that I suggest, and I'll link a couple. One great one that's really for novice and explaining to people that are very new to astrology is Astro Finesse. His YouTube channel is great. He goes through each and every planet. He goes through each and every house. He goes through just the basic fundamentals of astrology, and it really can give you some background. And the reason why I sent you to astro.com first to get your birth chart is because as he talks about certain things, you can look at your chart to kind of start putting together that information about you, or you can look at your chart and just look at certain videos of his based upon you. As it relates to human design, I highly suggest a Jovian archive, and I'm going to put a link down below and somewhere on the screen to this so that you can look at that. And basically you'll be able to enter in your birth time information because you need this for human design as well. I told you earlier, it includes astrology, and you'll be able to pull up a body graph so you can get that fundamental basic information about who you are. For the Myer-Briggs personality test, humanmatrix.com is a great website so that you can start taking the test and you can get some results about what your personality type is. So I'll include that link down below as well. Last but not least, as it relates to numerology, 7thlifepath.com will be a website that you can use to get your life path number. Overall, these are great tools to help you discover you, but every tool doesn't work for every single job. So if one of the 4 don't resonate with you, try another one. And if none of them resonate with you, that's okay. There's still other tools out there. Ultimately, I'm just giving you a starter pack on the journey of discovering you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please let me know if you've ever tried any of these tools before in the past, any other tools that you may actually have or use to self-discover yourself in the comments. And last but not least, if you can hit the subscribe button, the like button, if you found anything in this video helpful whatsoever, it will help me tremendously to allow my page to grow and for me to continue to give and deliver content to you. Thank you so much. Peace.